On a bright autumn afternoon, a young man named Ren stood in front of a dull apartment building, a box heavy in his arms and his past heavier still.
New city, new room, new people. Just what the doctor ordered, right? Yo, you're Ren, right? Awesome, you made it. I'm Kazuki. Sorry about the mess, still settling in myself. But hey, a warm welcome. My sister's swinging by later with snacks. She's a nurse, or, well, was transferred recently. Anyway, she's the one who actually raised me, so she's kind of a big deal.
Ren set his box down, his mind suddenly miles away. The word nurse had hit a nerve he'd spent years burying.
Relax. It's just a coincidence. You're not 8 years old anymore. You okay, man? You look like you've seen a ghost. Nah, just tired from the trip. So, your sister? She visiting long? Just the afternoon. She's got a night shift. But trust me, her cookies are worth it. I'll text her you're here.
20 minutes later, the doorbell cut through the quiet, its ring jarring against the fading afternoon.
This is stupid. Why is my heart pounding like I'm back in that hospital bed? No. No. That hair. Those eyes. It can't be.
In a flash, the apartment vanished. He was 8 again, trapped in white sheets, and she was there reading manga to him between surgeries. Her hand had been the only warmth during the countdown to the operating room. He held onto it like oxygen.
Hi, you must be Ren. I'm Saki, Kazuki's sister. He told me all about his new roommate. I brought a little care package. Kazuki said you just moved in, so I thought you okay? You look pale.
She doesn't recognize me. Of course she doesn't. I was just another kid on a long list. I'm sorry, yeah, long trip. I'm Ren. Thank you for the package.
She laughed softly, stepping inside, and Ren realized the biggest secret of his life had just walked through the door, wearing a hospital lanyard and a smile that had once saved him.
Kazu, sorry I'm late. The bus was packed, and you must be Ren. He wasn't kidding about the hoodie and the tired eyes.
Told you she'd bring snacks, Ren. This is the sister I won't shut up about, the one who actually raised me.
Stop. You make me sound ancient. Anyway, here the nurses in my unit devoured half the batch before I could escape.
Your unit, not pediatrics. You left the children behind. Why?
Kazuki mentioned you're studying literature. I always wanted to write, but my hands were better suited for IV lines than poetry.
Books are less complicated than people. Usually.
You're a quiet one. Kazuki, is your new roommate always like this, or did I scare him off?
Nah, give him a day. He'll be quoting Murakami at breakfast and stealing your snacks. Right, Ren?
A chime from her phone cut the laughter short. She checked it and winced. The night shift was calling. She gathered her bag and the empty Tupperware. The door clicked shut. Ren sat alone in the fading light, a half-eaten cookie on the plate. Her smile still burning in his chest, a 12-year-old wound torn open by a woman who had no idea she'd ever saved him. Ren closed his door and stood in the dark, the floor still unfamiliar under his feet.
I need to see it. To know it wasn't just a dream from a fevered kid.
The frayed ear of the giraffe caught his thumb as he unwrapped the cloth.
You're still here. And so am I.
12 years ago, a nurse with soft mint hair and a yellow scrunchie had placed it in his palm after his 3rd surgery.
For courage, Ren. For the next one.
You kept your promise. I survived all 6.
He pressed the giraffe to his forehead. Its fur still held the faint scent of old laundry and safety.
She gave me the only thing that made the pain stop. And she doesn't even remember. I can't tell her. Not yet. But I won't let you go either.
The next morning, the smell of burnt toast filled the kitchen. Kazuki was already at the table, scrolling his phone.
Morning, Ren. You look like you wrestled the moving boxes and lost. Just adjusting. Hey, your sister. She seemed really dedicated. How long has she been nursing? Since forever. Here, this is from her pediatric unit. She was their head nurse for years. Pediatric. She was there the whole time, and now she's not. Kazuki said she transferred? What made her leave? She said the emotional weight got too heavy. She never goes into it, but it's like a light went out. Too heavy. How many kids did she lose? Did I almost become one of those? We don't push. You'll like her, though. She's got a heart the size of this building.
Ren forced a nod, but inside, the questions were growing louder. What broke her? And was it why she gave him the only thing she had?
Ren. Sorry to drop in. Brought pork buns from the hospital potluck. I hope that's okay.
Of course. Kazuki's out, but come in. I'll put the kettle on.
You're a lifesaver. Today's shift dragged too much paperwork. Not enough. Well.
Not enough kids. That's what you stopped yourself from saying, isn't it?
Kazuki says you're a good listener. I hope he's right. Sometimes a nurse just needs a person, not a patient.
I am. You worked with children for years, didn't you? Must be hard to leave something like that behind.
It's not something I talk about. Some wards you leave because you can't carry any more stories.
Stories like mine. She carried me once, and now she's running.
I should go before Kazuki gets back and accuses me of stealing his roommate. Keep the buns.
The door closed. Ren pulled the giraffe from his pocket. He had never felt closer to the truth, or more afraid of what he'd find. 2 days later, Saki returned to the apartment with a forgotten phone charger and an apology for the intrusion.
Kazuki always leaves things. I'm really sorry. I won't stay long.
It's fine. Tea? I was just about to make some.
He reached for the kettle on the top shelf. His sleeve slipped down, and the thin pink scar on his wrist caught the afternoon light. Saki's teal eyes fixed on the scar. Her smile vanished.
That scar. It's surgical. A heart procedure, wasn't it? You were just a child.
She knows. One more question and the whole dam breaks. It's nothing. Fell off my bike as a kid. Looks worse than it was.
I've seen hundreds of surgery scars, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
She left with a quiet goodbye. Ren stared at his wrist until the kettle clicked off. The silence refused to leave. That night, Ren lay in bed, the ceiling a blank canvas for every lie he'd told. Sleep refused to come.
I looked her in the eye and told her a bike accident. She almost believed me. Almost.
On the nightstand, the toy giraffe sat like a witness. Its glassy eyes seemed to hold 12 years of silence.
This is exactly why I can't sleep. It's not the secret. It's that she deserves to know. Next time she walks through that door, I'll show you to her. No more running. What if she's horrified? What if she thinks I'm some obsessive stranger? But what if she remembers? What if this means as much to her as it does to me?
He pressed the giraffe to his heart and made a silent vow. The next visit would be the last one with secrets.
I don't know how she'll react, but I won't lose her to silence again.
By morning, the giraffe was no longer a relic. It was a promise. Ren would finally let his past speak. 2 days later, Saki arrived with a bag of oranges and a lighter step than before.
Kazuki said you were asking about my work, so I thought I'd bring a proper snack and we could talk.
She doesn't know. Every second I smile, I'm erasing what she did for me. Actually, Saki, can we sit down in the living room? There's something I need to show you.
Of course. You're not in trouble, are you? You look like you're about to confess a crime.
In his pocket, his fingers traced the giraffe's frayed ear. The motion was a prayer he'd repeated thousands of times.
This will sound strange, but I've been holding on to something for 12 years. Something you gave me.
Slowly, he opened his hand. The giraffe lay there, its brown patches faded but unmistakable.
No, it can't be. I remember that giraffe.
Her composure shattered. The nurse who had steadied countless children now stood frozen, undone by a stuffed animal she thought she'd never see again.
That giraffe. I gave it to a boy named Ren. 6 surgeries. I held his hand every time. Is it you?
It's me, Saki. I didn't think you'd remember. I'm sorry I waited so long.
Remember? I searched your name in hospital databases every year. I was terrified of finding a death notice.
In a flash, she was back at her desk, the computer glow the only light in a dark room, searching for one name. Status, discharged. The same green checkmark she'd hunted down year after year, terrified it would change. And then she shattered, collapsing into his arms as 12 years of buried guilt poured out.
I should have been there when you woke up from the last one. I'm so sorry.
You were there. This giraffe was there. That was enough.
But this giraffe? There's something you don't know. I'll explain everything, I promise.
Her phone buzzed, the hospital. She had to go. Ren stood alone, the giraffe warm in his hand, the weight of her unspoken words settling deeper than before. That evening after her shift, Saki returned to the apartment. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady.
I'm sorry I ran. I've been hiding something from everyone, including myself. The reason I left pediatrics, it wasn't just the patients. It was me. I couldn't save my own brother.
Her hand tightened around the giraffe, knuckles white, as if holding on for dear life. 12 years ago, in another hospital room, a teenage Saki received that very giraffe from a boy who looked just like her.
He was 8, your age. He gave me this giraffe and said, for courage. Give it to someone who needs it. When I met you, Ren, I saw the same fear in your eyes, so I gave you his courage.
You gave away the last piece of him. For me?
I've never told anyone this, not even Kazuki, because it felt like betraying him. But you deserve to know.
The giraffe, once a gift from a dying boy, now rested between them, a bridge of shared loss and unspeakable hope. The front door clicked open, and Kazuki stopped mid-step. His sister and his roommate sat on the sofa, eyes red, a worn toy between them.
Whoa. What happened? Saki, are you crying? Ren, why is my sister crying?
Kaz, I need to tell you something. It's about Ren. About the boy I used to talk about.
The story spilled out in fragments: the hospital, the 6 surgeries, the giraffe, their brother's last gift. Kazuki listened in silence.
This is insane. All this time, Ren was that kid, and she never told me about the giraffe. So you're the reason she came home crying some nights? The one she'd check up on every year? Yeah, I didn't know until I moved here. I'm sorry I never reached out. Sorry, dude. You're a survivor, and you kept her gift. That's actually kind of amazing. Come here, sis. And Ren, thank you for being the one she saved. That means more than you know.
The 3 of them stayed like that, the giraffe now a shared heart. For the first time in years, Saki wasn't carrying the weight alone. 3 days passed. Saki's visits stopped. Her replies reduced to single words: busy, tired. The apartment felt heavier.
She's running. After everything we shared, she's pulling back. Kazuki, has Saki said anything to you? She's been different, like she's avoiding us. She does this. When she feels guilty about something, she disappears. It's like she punishes herself. Guilty? For what? For saving me? For sharing her brother's gift? She's carrying it all alone again.
The giraffe sat on the shelf, a silent reminder of the night she laid everything bare. He wouldn't let her vanish.
I can't just wait around. Kazuki, where does she go when she's like this? I need to find her. She won't answer if she knows you're worried. You'll have to corner her somewhere she can't run. She's always at the hospital garden after her shift. The hospital garden? I'll go there. I don't know what I'll say, but I can't let her drown in guilt alone.
The decision was made. Ren grabbed his jacket, the giraffe tucked securely in his pocket. He was done waiting. But before he could step out, a forgotten box in the corner caught his eye. Hospital things scrawled in his mother's handwriting. He knelt and pulled out a small navy duffel bag, its handle frayed, the old hospital logo barely visible.
I haven't opened this since I was discharged. What else did I keep from that time?
Inside, among old manga and a faded blanket, he found a crumpled envelope, the paper yellowed, the ink smudged, written in wobbly pencil, for Nurse Saki.
I wrote her a letter? I don't remember doing this at all.
He unfolded it, the words barely legible. "Thank you for the giraffe, and for holding my hand. I wish you could be my family."
This is exactly what she needs to hear. Not the guilt, not the fear, just a thank you from the kid she saved. I'll bring it, along with the giraffe. Maybe then she'll understand she didn't fail anyone.
He slipped the letter into his pocket beside the giraffe. Now his armor wasn't just a toy, it was his own words, 12 years overdue.
Saki, I found something from the hospital. Meet me at the park. I'll explain everything.
I can't, Ren. You don't understand. I'm too broken for this.
Then tell me. I'm not leaving until I see you. The park in an hour.
The park bench was cold, but Ren barely felt it. The giraffe and letter were all that mattered. Saki appeared between the trees, her face a careful mask of composure.
I found this. I wrote it 12 years ago, right after my last surgery.
She unfolded the paper. The pencil marks were faint, but the words struck her like a clinical diagnosis.
You wanted me to be your family?
You were the only family I had back then. And I'm not letting you drown in guilt alone.
She didn't pull away. The letter between them held more than words.
But why? Why did you keep the letter? The giraffe? After 12 years, why hold on to a stranger's promise?
Because you're the reason I'm alive. But if I say that, I'll sound like a child. You think you failed. But to me, you were everything. You gave me courage when I had none.
His voice broke, but he forced the words out. The truth he'd buried since he was 8 crashed to the surface.
I kept it because it was proof someone believed I'd live. I needed that belief more than oxygen. But it's more than gratitude. I've loved you since I was 8. Not as a nurse, as you.
Love? I'm older. I'm broken. He's just grateful. This can't be real.
The park fell silent. The confession suspended in the cold air like a held breath.
Ren, I don't know if I can.
He waited. The night offered no answer, and the confession lay between them, irreversible. Then Saki stood, her body language a door slamming shut. The mask of composure shattered into something harder.
You're young, Ren. I'm almost a decade older. This isn't love. It's a childhood fantasy you haven't let go.
He reached for her, but she stepped back into the lamp's shadow, her hospital lanyard catching the light like a blade.
I'm not the nurse who saved you. I left because I failed too many children. I couldn't even save my own brother. What you feel is gratitude, nothing more. You deserve someone whole, someone who won't wake up screaming from patients she lost.
Saki, stop. Just listen.
No. One day you'll wake up and realize I'm just a burden, and you'll hate me for it.
She turned away, wrapping her arms around a grief that had no bottom, the space between them colder than the autumn air.
Go home, Ren. Forget this ever happened. Forget me.
Ren didn't move. The giraffe and letter pressed against his chest, but his eyes never left her fading silhouette. But Ren didn't let the silence settle. He stood and crossed the distance in 3 steps, the giraffe heavy in his pocket.
I'm not that 8-year-old anymore. I survived 6 surgeries, and I'll survive you pushing me away. You think you're broken? I watched you hold my hand through hell. That wasn't just a nurse, that was you. I love you because of who you are, not in spite of it. The past didn't break us, it built us. Trust me, please. Let me be the one to hold your hand now.
He's not a child anymore. This isn't fantasy. Could this be real?
Her walls cracked. Hope, fragile and foreign, flickered in her teal eyes.
Ren, I'm scared. I've been alone in this for so long.
You're not alone anymore. I'm here.
For the first time, she didn't pull away. Her next breath would decide everything. Saki's final resistance crumbled. A sob broke from her chest and she nodded, falling into his arms without a word.
I'm so scared, but I'll try. For my brother, and for you.
That's all I ask. We'll take it one step at a time.
The giraffe, still in her pocket, pressed between them, a soft, worn testament to every promise they'd kept.
He'd be happy. My brother. He always wanted me to find someone who needed courage as much as he did.
Then we'll make sure his giraffe never stops giving it.
They held each other under the street lamp, the world quiet around them, as if the night itself had exhaled. When Saki finally looked up, her teal eyes held something new. Not guilt, but a fragile, fierce hope. She lifted the giraffe between them, and together they cradled it, a bridge from loss to something unbreakable. It wasn't a fairy tale, but under that park lamp, it was enough. The next morning, Ren poured coffee with a grin so wide Kazuki nearly dropped his toast.
You look like you won the lottery. Did my sister text you or something? Actually, we talked last night. We're together now. He's serious. My sister and my roommate? This is insane. Together as in, you and my sister? The same woman who used to read you manga in a hospital bed? Yeah, I know it's sudden, but I've loved her since I was 8. I'm not playing games. If you break her heart, I'll break your legs. That's not a joke. Understood. I'll never make her cry again. Good. Then I guess you're stuck with us now, brother.
The hallway felt lighter, as if the apartment itself recognized a family had begun to heal. The cafe smelled of fresh coffee and old books. Ren sat at a corner table, adjusting the hoodie he'd worn since he was a teenager.
Sorry, I'm late. The bus was slower than a patient discharge. Is this weird?
Weird? This is the most normal thing I've done all month. You look beautiful, by the way.
I think the last time someone called me beautiful was a 6-year-old with a crayon drawing.
She's not the nurse here. She's just Saki, nervous and real. I want to freeze this.
I've never been on a date like this. Other dates were polite. But with you, it feels like my heart won't settle.
That's not a bad thing. We can take it slow. No surgeries, no drama, just 2 people who survived.
Her fingers were slightly cold, but they didn't pull away. Over cooling lattes, they talked about music, bad movies, and the quiet victories of ordinary days.
This is so simple. I was scared it'd feel heavy. But it's light.
When they left the cafe, the autumn air carried the promise of more days like this, but also the hidden weight of all they still hadn't said. The weeks that followed were kind, but Saki's smile sometimes came too slow. A shadow lingered.
Saki, after graduation, maybe we could travel. Just us.
Graduation? That's years away. You'll be around people your age. Why would you still want me?
What? I'm not going anywhere. This isn't pity.
Every time I'm happy, I remember my brother, the kids I lost. I'm afraid you'll see I'm just a habit.
I chose you, not a memory you. You're allowed to be happy. Your brother would want that. You said this giraffe was for courage. You need it now. Let me be your courage.
Tell me it's real. Tell me I'm not dreaming.
She took it. They held each other until the shaking stopped. Not a cure, but a promise renewed. The shadow didn't vanish, but for tonight it retreated, and that was enough. Sunday morning was gray and still. Saki led Ren through the old cemetery, her hand cold but steady.
Here, this is him. My little brother, always full of life even at the end.
She knelt and brushed a stray leaf from the stone. Her voice dropped to a whisper.
I finally gave your giraffe to someone who needed it. just like you asked. His name is Ren. He survived 6 surgeries. He has your courage now.
Ren stepped forward and placed a new small giraffe beside the old one. 2 promises, side by side.
I'll take care of her. And this giraffe will never be alone.
Saki broke then sobs that cleansed, not wounded. Ren held her as the sky softened and the wind quieted.
He would have loved you. Thank you for giving his gift a new home.
They walked back through the stones, hand in hand. The weight had not vanished, but it had shifted. It was now something they could carry together. Autumn bled into winter, and the apartment filled with the rhythm of 3 people learning to be family.
Ren, you're burning the pancakes. Give that to me before we set off the smoke alarm.
I'm learning. Besides, you said you liked them crispy.
On campus, Saki waited after lectures. Her rare days off became their unofficial study dates.
I thought about my brother today. Not with pain, just a smile. He would have liked you.
Then we're doing something right. Hey, lovebirds. This is for the family album. Kaz, delete that.
That winter, Saki's laughter came without shadows. Not every day, but more often, a sound no longer borrowed from a lost brother. They were building something new, and though the future was still unspoken, it was no longer frightening. On the first evening of spring, Ren led Saki to the old park bench. The street lamp flickered on just as they arrived.
Saki, a year ago I showed you a giraffe on this bench. Tonight, I want to ask you something else.
He knelt, and the world around them seemed to hold its breath.
You once held my hand through 6 surgeries. Now I want to hold yours for the rest of our lives. Saki, will you marry me?
Tears spilled down her cheeks, but her smile was radiant. She nodded, unable to speak.
Yes, yes. 1,000 times yes.
She pulled him up, and he slid the ring onto her finger, a promise 12 years in the making. They held each other under the same lamp where a boy's confession had once hung in the cold air. Now only warmth remained. The giraffe swung gently on her bag, a silent witness to the family they had finally become. 3 years later, the garden wore its finest bloom. White peonies and soft mint ribbons threaded through the archway.
Stop fidgeting. Your tie's fine. You only get 1 shot at this, and I refuse to let you walk down the aisle crooked. You sound like my mom. I'm not nervous. I'm just ready.
In the bridal suite, Saki held the old giraffe to her cheek. The yellow ribbon from her childhood still circled its ear.
Brother, today I'm not just a nurse who walked away. I'm a bride and I'm not afraid.
Guests filled the garden. Kazuki's friends, Saki's co-workers, some of whom still wore the same lanyard she'd worn that first afternoon.
You know, I used to think the giraffe was just a toy, but it's the reason we're all here. It's the first gift she ever gave me. I'm giving it back today.
The string quartet began. A hush fell over the garden. Ren turned toward the aisle and forgot to breathe.
Hold his hand like you did then. Only this time, you never have to let go.
Saki walked down the aisle with Kazuki, her bouquet trembling. The garden held its breath.
I'm not running anymore.
Ren watched her come, eyes glistening. The old giraffe peeked from her bouquet like a promise. Kazuki placed her hand in Ren's and stepped back. The officiant's voice faded, and the only sound was 2 hearts settling.
Saki, 12 years ago you gave me a giraffe. I wrote you a letter. Today I give it back. You've been my family all along.
Ren, my brother gave me that giraffe for courage. You gave me a reason to live. I'm yours.
They exchanged rings, simple bands that caught the sun. The officiant pronounced the words, and the garden erupted. You may kiss. And they did as cheers and sobs wove through the garden. The old giraffe, nestled among the peonies, had finally come home. And somewhere in the crowd, a boy named Kazuki wiped his eyes and laughed. The reception hall glittered under fairy lights, the tables strewn with mint petals, and the quiet hum of joy.
All right, everyone. I'm Kazuki, the best man, and the guy who accidentally introduced these two. The day Ren moved in, I thought he was just a quiet bookworm. Then my sister showed up, and he turned into a statue.
He paused, a faraway look crossing his face. What I didn't know was they'd met 12 years earlier in a hospital room.
Saki gave him a giraffe. He kept it, and because of that toy, my family finally feels whole again. To Ren, my new brother, to Saki, my forever sister, may your courage always be as strong as a kid's stuffed animal.
The room erupted. Glasses clinked, tears flowed, and the newlyweds leaned into each other, hearts full. The DJ called for the first dance. Under a canopy of lights, Ren took Saki's hand, and the world faded.
Saki, you're not alone anymore, and neither am I.
The music carried them, and somewhere in the notes, a boy's letter and a brother's gift finally rested. A few days after the wedding, quiet settled into their new apartment. No more rehearsals, no more guests, just them. On the shelf, beside a framed wedding photo, the toy giraffe stood. Its yellow ribbon now matched the gold of their rings. Saki walked over and picked it up, her fingers tracing the frayed ear as if greeting an old friend.
You're up early? Couldn't sleep?
I was just saying good morning to him. He's been quiet, but I think he's happy.
He should be. He finally brought his family together.
Saki looked down at the giraffe, and a dozen hospital rooms, a park bench, and a graveyard visit passed through her eyes.
Thank you, brother.
Ren held her tighter. No more words were needed. The giraffe had already said everything. And in the quiet of their first home, a little toy that once carried a dying boy's wish now held a marriage, a family, and an unbroken promise. A month into their marriage, a letter arrived offering Ren a teaching position in another city. Saki found it on the counter.
He'd have to leave. I can't ask him to stay. I'm not that fragile anymore.
You saw the letter. Say what you're thinking.
I'm not a patient anymore. You don't have to protect me from good things. Take the job.
I'd never leave without you. This isn't about protecting, it's about us.
But your career? I won't be the reason you pass up a dream. Not again.
My dream is this. You. The rest is just geography.
Then we'll go together. I can find a nursing job anywhere. I'm not running anymore.
They sat there, a new decision carved out of old fears. The giraffe watched over them, a silent witness to a marriage that chose hope over geography. The job offer would wait, because some choices don't feel like sacrifice. They feel like coming home. A week before the move, Saki's old hospital called. The pediatric ward needed a head nurse. They offered her the job.
I swore I'd never step foot in that ward again. But those kids, they need someone who understands.
You've been quiet since that call. Was it bad news?
They want me back in pediatrics. Head nurse. The same floor where my brother died.
That's huge. But also terrifying. What do you want to do?
I want to say yes. But what if I freeze again? What if I lose another child there?
You won't be alone. I'll be there. And this time, you have more than a giraffe. You have a partner.
I'm scared, Ren. But I think my brother would want me to try.
They held each other as the evening grew dark. The decision hung unfinished, but they had faced worse. The job offer waited for an answer, but tonight, the only decision was to stay together. Tomorrow would bring the test. Morning came resolute. Saki dialed the hospital with trembling fingers and accepted the pediatric position.
It's done. I'm going back to the same floor where I lost my brother, but I'm not the same person.
I'm so proud of you. But the university just called. They need my final answer by 5 p.m. If I take the job, we leave. If we stay for her, I lose it. Either way, one of us sacrifices a dream.
Ren, you've given up so much. I can't let you lose this. I'll call them back and decline.
No. This isn't about keeping score. You deserve to heal, and these kids need you. I'll find another way.
But you're teaching. That's your dream. You can't just throw it away from me.
My dream is you. But this isn't just about us. It's about all the children who need your courage.
The clock ticked past noon. Neither could decide, because either choice meant losing something irreplaceable. By evening, the calls remained unmade. The giraffe sat between them, its frayed ear a testament to all the impossible choices that had led them here. The clock struck 5. Ren's phone vibrated with a voicemail from the university. They needed an answer, but the decision had already been made in silence.
Play the message, Ren. You can't ignore it forever.
I don't need to hear it. This job means nothing if it takes me away from you.
Then listen. I already called the hospital back and declined the position. You're taking that job?
What? Why would you do that? This was supposed to be your chance to heal.
Because I love you more than a ward full of children. I won't be the reason you give up your dream.
But you gave up your own dream without even talking to me. We were supposed to decide this together.
You would have done the same for me. I know you, Ren. And I won't let you carry this guilt.
Silence filled the room, heavier than any argument. They sat in the wreckage of each other's sacrifices.
Then we'll make a new dream. Together. I'll accept the position, but only if you promise to find a pediatric job in the new city. No more running.
A new city? With you? You'd really do that for me after I nearly ruined everything?
You didn't ruin anything. We both got scared. But I meant it. No more running. We start fresh together.
I'll call the hospital back. Maybe they haven't filled the position yet. I'll tell them I made a mistake.
Wait. First, let me call the university and accept. This only works if we both leap together.
One by one, the calls were made. Ren's voice was steady as he accepted the teaching position. Saki, teary but clear, begged the hospital to reconsider.
They said yes. The position was still open. I start in 2 weeks, but I'm so scared. Ren, what if I fail again?
You won't fail because you won't be alone. I'll be teaching, and you'll be saving kids. And every night we come home to this giraffe.
Okay. But promise me one thing, if I ever start pulling away again, you show me this giraffe and remind me of today.
I promise. But I don't think I'll need to. You're the strongest person I know, Saki. You just forgot for a minute.
The apartment, once heavy with impossible choices, felt lighter. They had jumped together, and though the future was uncertain, the giraffe's frayed ear promised courage for the next one. 2 weeks later, the new city greeted them with a small apartment and unfamiliar streets. Saki's first day at the pediatric ward loomed like a held breath.
How was it? You look like you've seen a ghost.
There was a boy. He looked just like my brother. I froze at his bedside. I'm not cut out for this.
Saki, you're stronger than you think. This is the exact reason you need to be there.
No. Every time I looked at him, I saw my brother dying. I can't do this again. I'm going to resign tomorrow.
You can't. You promised. We promised no more running. What would your brother want?
He'd want me happy, not broken. I'm not healing, Ren. I'm just bleeding slower.
The giraffe lay on the table between them, its frayed ear a silent accusation. Neither moved.
Then bleed. But do it with me. I won't let go. And if you quit now, you'll never forgive yourself.
The decision hung suspended. In the new city, the old fears had followed, but so had the giraffe. The next morning, Saki didn't leave for work. He found her still in bed. The giraffe clutched against her chest, eyes red.
I called in sick. I can't go back there. I'm not a nurse. I'm a fraud.
You're the same person who held my hand through 6 surgeries. That's not a fraud.
That was a lifetime ago. I've lost too much since then. I can't be that person anymore.
Ren walked to the shelf and lifted the giraffe, its frayed ear a familiar anchor in the chaos.
Your brother gave you this for courage. Not for when things were easy, for moments exactly like this.
It's just a toy. But it's the only thing that's never left me. Not really.
I can't force you. But if you quit today, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if you could have saved that boy.
Then I'll go. But you have to promise. If I fall apart, you'll still be here when I get back.
She took the giraffe with her. That evening, the apartment waited in silence for a verdict that wouldn't come for many hours. The door clicked open after midnight. Saki stood in the doorway, the giraffe still in her grip, her scrubs faintly stained, but her eyes clearer than they'd been in weeks.
You're back. I was starting to think the worst. Are you okay?
I didn't quit. The boy, he's going to be fine. I held his hand just like I held yours.
She didn't break this time. The fear was still there, but for the first time in years it had not won.
I knew you could do it, and I'm not going anywhere.
It's not over. I'm still terrified. But the boy smiled, and I remembered why I became a nurse.
The giraffe, now a permanent fixture in her pocket, pressed between them, a quiet witness to the first victory in a long war.
One day I'll stop seeing my brother in every child. Maybe then I'll be whole.
You're already whole. You just need to believe it.
That night, the apartment didn't feel like a battlefield. It felt like a beginning. Months later, the hospital charity gala glowed with soft lights. Saki, now head of pediatrics, wore a dress the color of her old scrubs.
You're staring at that giraffe centerpiece like it's a patient. Nervous?
A little. They're honoring the pediatric department tonight. I still can't believe I'm the one they chose.
You earned it. Every hand you held, every tear you wiped. You're their hero, Saki.
Her old colleagues cheered, and the boy she saved was there with his parents, holding a drawing of a giraffe.
That drawing. It's just like the one my brother made. Maybe he's been watching all along.
Ren slipped his arm around her. The old toy giraffe, now a permanent charm on her bag, rested against the drawing.
From hospital beds to this, the pediatric nurse who held my hand is now my wife, and the reason I believe in second chances.
And the boy who wrote me a thank you letter is now my husband. Life is strange, but good.
Outside, the city sparkled. Inside, a nurse and her patient, now husband and wife, held the tiny giraffe that had carried them through it all. One autumn evening, they returned to the old park bench, the same bench where a boy had held out a toy giraffe and changed everything.
12 years ago, I was a pediatric nurse reading manga to a scared boy. Now I'm his wife. Life is surreal.
You were the first person who believed I'd survive. I kept that giraffe because it was proof someone cared.
And you gave it back to me, along with your letter. You've been my family since you were 8 years old.
The pediatric nurse who treated me as a kid became my roommate's sister, and then my whole world.
I used to think I couldn't do it anymore. But you showed me that saving a life isn't just medicine, it's love.
The giraffe lay in her lap, its frayed ear now a symbol of every promise kept, every tear that had led here.
I'd do it all again. Every surgery, every scary moment just to end up here with you.
They kissed under the street lamp, a promise sealed when they were strangers, now lived every day. And in their small apartment on a shelf beside the wedding photo, a little giraffe sat, no longer a child's courage, but a family's heart. Winter mornings in their apartment were slow now, coffee steam curling into the quiet. The giraffe still sat on the shelf, but it looked less alone each year.
I checked the public records again this week. All the kids from my first year back are still discharged. Green check marks.
You stopped needing to check, didn't you? You just wanted to see their names again.
Maybe. They're like little miracles I helped write. And one of those miracles is you.
I still have the letter. It's in the drawer next to our wedding certificate. 2 promises, side by side.
Promise me something, Ren. If the years ever make us forget what this giraffe meant, we come back to this morning.
I don't think we could forget. But if we ever do, we'll just hold hands and remember the boy who survived 6 surgeries.
And the nurse who read him manga. And the brother who gave us both courage.
The giraffe on the shelf had traveled farther than any toy should. It held 12 years of silence, a brother's last wish, a boy's unsent letter, and a marriage that outlasted every fear. It was, after all, just a stuffed animal. But on that quiet winter morning, it was their entire world. That spring, the hospital dedicated a room in Saki's name. A quiet space with soft murals and a giraffe painted under the window.
It's a room for the parents. Somewhere to cry. Somewhere to hope. I wish we'd had this when my brother was here.
It's perfect. Every parent who sits here will know someone fought for them. Because you did, Saki. Over and over.
In the corner, on a tiny shelf, sat the original toy giraffe, now donated to the hospital, watching over new children.
It belongs here now. I don't need to hold it every day. I carry my brother in my heart, and you in my hands.
You gave it back to the hospital where it all started. Now other kids and parents will have its courage.
The dedication ceremony was small, just Ren, Kazuki, a few nurses. But for Saki, it was louder than any applause.
You did it, sis. You turned the worst day of your life into hope for everyone else. Mom and Dad would be proud.
That evening, back at their apartment, the shelf where the giraffe had lived for years now held a photo of the new hospital room. But its place was not empty. It was full of promise. They sat together in the quiet, no longer needing a stuffed animal to know they were a family, because they always had been. Weeks later, Saki passed the quiet room on her evening rounds. A young mother sat inside, holding her sleeping child, weeping softly at the giraffe mural.
That used to be me. Crying in a hospital room, terrified of what came next. But I found courage here. So will she.
She didn't intrude. Instead, she walked to the nurse's station and pulled out a small notebook, the same one where she'd once tracked public records of her former patients.
I don't need to check anymore, but I'll still write, not for myself, but for them. So no family feels as alone as I did.
A hand covered hers. Ren had come to walk her home, but he didn't speak. He just squeezed her fingers and the notebook closed.
I think my brother would have liked that room. Maybe he did see it from wherever he is.
He'd be proud. Not just of the room, but of you. The nurse who held my hand became the healer of so many others.
That night, they walked home through the old park. The bench now just a bench, but the street lamp still flickered, witness to a promise kept longer than any childhood. And on the hospital shelf, a frayed toy giraffe sat beneath a mural, its ears still bent. It had carried a boy's survival, a brother's last wish, a nurse's hope, and now it carried 100 new stories. It was never just a toy. It was the first link in a chain of unbroken courage. 5 years later, the hospital held a small ceremony for the room's anniversary. A new family cut the ribbon. A little girl who had just survived her second heart surgery.
When I was 8, I was that scared little girl, and a nurse gave me a giraffe. Today, that giraffe belongs to all of you.
The little girl clutched a new giraffe, a replica, soft and bright. She looked at Saki with eyes that only someone who'd walked through the same fire could understand.
He told me to give it to someone who needed courage. I think you need it now.
That's what you told me 12 years ago. Now you're telling her.
It's not a toy. It's a promise. And it's still going.
That evening, at home, Ren opened the small drawer beside their wedding certificate. The letter was still there, yellowed and fragile. He placed a new photograph beside it, the little girl holding her giraffe.
You kept my letter all these years. Now there's a new letter, one painted on a hospital wall.
And it says the same thing. You're not alone.
And in the hospital, a frayed giraffe rested on a shelf. Around it, 100 new drawings, 100 new stories, all beginning with the same courage. Decades later, the apartment they'd once shared was a memory. Their new home was a quiet house with a garden where morning light fell across a familiar shelf. Ren and Saki sat on the porch, 2 cups of coffee growing cold. Age had silvered his hair and softened her face, but their hands still found each other without thinking.
Do you remember the first time I knocked on your door? You looked at me like I was a ghost.
I thought you were. But you were the only ghost I ever wanted to stay.
All those surgeries, all those children, you were the one who kept me standing.
And you gave me a reason to stand at all. It wasn't a one-way street, Saki.
Behind them, through the living room window, the toy giraffe sat in its usual place. Its fur had faded further, its ear nearly flat, but it had never been more whole.
My brother would be happy. We kept his promise. Over and over.
They sat in silence, holding hands, as the garden filled with birdsong. The promise had outlived them, passed on like a much-loved toy from one small hand to another. That evening they came inside as the last light faded. By the shelf, Saki paused, her fingers hovering over the giraffe like a blessing.
It still smells like my brother. Like the hospital. Like you.
Then it belongs right where it is. It's been carrying us long enough.
He took the giraffe gently and placed it back on the shelf, beside the yellowed letter and a lifetime of photographs.
Do you think it'll still be here? Long after we're gone?
It already is. In every child who clutched a new one. In that quiet room with the mural.
They stood in silence. Two people who had once been strangers in a hospital, now the quiet center of a story that had rippled through generations. The frayed ear of the giraffe caught the last lamplight. Its shadow against the wall looked less like a toy and more like a promise. It had never really belonged to them. It was a letter, a brother's wish, a patient's hope, passed from the smallest hands to the safest shelf. And as the house slept, the giraffe kept watch, small, frayed, and irreplaceable. Morning returned to the quiet house, as it always did. The giraffe sat where it had for decades, dusted by the same hand every Sunday. Nearby, a child's drawing a giraffe with a yellow ribbon was pinned to the frame of the wedding photo. Ren, his hair now white, paused by the shelf. His hand rose, not to move the giraffe, but to trace its frayed ear with a single finger. He didn't linger. From the other room, the sound of a nursery rhyme floated in Saki, humming to their grandchild. The giraffe had seen it all. 6 surgeries, a park bench, a wedding, 100 hospital rooms, and now a lullaby. One day it would be packed carefully by younger hands, passed on with the story of a nurse and a boy who survived. Its frayed ear would tell more stories than any mouth could, and it would never stop listening. Ren turned from the shelf and walked toward the humming. In the doorway, he paused, looking back one last time. The giraffe stayed, as it always had, small and steadfast, the quiet center of a world built on a promise. On a Sunday much like any other, the morning sun found the giraffe in its usual spot, but the chair beside it was empty. Ren's hand had been the last to touch it 3 days ago. Now a younger hand, Kazuki's grandson, picked it up with wonder. He didn't know the stories, not yet, but he held it to his ear as if listening, the way children do when they suspect a secret.
That's a very special friend. He once belonged to a brave little boy who looked just like you.
The boy looked up, and Saki knelt beside him, her bracelet with the giraffe charm catching the light.
If you're ever scared, just hold him tight. He'll remind you that someone, somewhere, believes in you.
He nodded without understanding, but the giraffe seemed to understand. Its frayed ear rested against his cheek like it had rested against so many before. That night, when the house was quiet, Saki stood before the shelf one last time. The giraffe's spot was empty, but its presence filled the room. She touched the spot, then pulled her bracelet close. The small giraffe charm clinked softly against her ring. Some promises are too big for a shelf. They follow you from a hospital bed to a park bench to a lifetime, never letting go. Years later, the boy who held the giraffe to his ear walked into the hospital quiet room, now a teenager. The frayed toy sat on the shelf just as it always had. He didn't remember the nurse who had given it to him, but his hand, as if by instinct, reached out and touched the faded ear. Somewhere else, in a sunlit garden, an elderly woman with soft mint hair sat beside her husband, their hands intertwined. The bracelet with the giraffe charm glinted.
It's still there, isn't it? I can feel it.
It always will be. It's not a toy anymore. It's a story. And stories don't die.
A breeze rustled the leaves, and somewhere in a hospital room painted with a giraffe, a child's laugh echoed. The promise had never been broken. And in the stillness of an old apartment that had once held a boy and a nurse, the shelf where it all began was empty but no longer needed, because the courage had spread too far to fit. For one small giraffe, with a frayed ear and a yellow scrunchie, had carried a brother's love, a patient's hope, and a lifetime of unspoken words. And it would keep listening, for always.